listening to the Kpopcast. We are a K-pop podcast. Talk about everything in K-pop, from latest releases, deep dives, and what you should listen to in K-pop. And I am DJ Peterlo, a K-pop DJ, and I'm joined by my recurring show host, Supermatic.
What's up, everybody? Your local K-pop b-boy, Supermatic, in the building. How y'all doing?
Supermatic, what do we have on the show for today?
Well, we are actually trying out a brand new format today. We're going to be throwing out some top picks, and then after that, we'll be looking deeply into the new release from Pristin with their wee woo wee woo.
Wee woo. The reason why we're doing this top pick section is because we often hear so much great stuff in K-pop, and it's a chance to dive into something, that may be indie, something that you don't always get to hear at the top of the charts, but it's still worth listening to and, warrants the introduction. So I picked Lucy's B-Day. And I just love this song. It's not doing well at all in terms of views, at least with international fans, as far as I can tell. I think on YouTube it only had like 20,000 views.
Oh, wow.
So it's not charting, but it's a grooving song. It's sort of like the deep house variety. If you like London Noise, and we talked earlier about their song, the hair porn commercial song, the Pantene one.
Oh, yeah.
If you kind of like that sort of style, or maybe SHINee's View, this is right up that alley in terms of what one would expect for a sort of deep house sound in K-pop.
과연 그럴까?
And Lucy delivers, and there's a fun, sort of dark, eerie, morbid sense of happy birthday. And I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. There's a bunch of wabbits throughout the series, but it's broken up by a nice rap from Kiss-sun, if I'm pronouncing her name right. And overall, it deviates away from the Aegyo look that one would get in a lot of K-pop, and it goes into something that I found myself dancing to when I was listening to the song. So that's my top pick for this week. It's B-Day's Lucy.
Yeah, so my top pick isn't really so much indie as it is pretty popular, but nonetheless, it is the gentlemen of MONSTAX with their latest comeback, Beautiful. And of course, pun intended, it's a beautiful song.
Yeah.
The way that they compose it is nice. The choreography, which MONSTAX has always definitely been strong suitors for, it's really, really dope. It's a fun dance, and the way they came out style-wise for this song is on point. I mean, I don't mean to start a fan war, but because I mean this complimentary, but I feel like this is MONSTAX's Blood, Sweat, Tears opus.
Yeah, I can sort of see that.
Yep.
What do you think they were trying to say with all the money?
Oh, that they're coming to win.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, Mon babies out there, and I'm a Mon baby too. Let's get these boys their first win finally. Let their producer give them cell phones.
Yeah, when I listened to MONSTAX's Beautiful, I think my critique to it was that, we know MONSTAX for producing those slamming bangers, right? The songs that are going to be those EDM big drops, those big EDM hits. And this one, it was really busy in the middle to high frequencies, and then there was a kick throughout.
Oh, yeah.
But that kick felt so soft to me, and I was like, why did they take it? It sounded like they deliberately took out the bass from the kick drum throughout. And that, I think, for me, prevented it from becoming a topic for me. Even though I love MONSTAX, I play their songs all the freaking time in my DJ sets. And just in this case, it just felt a little too busy. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can understand. I think one thing that could be attributed to is that they did say they were experimenting with something slightly different, but they didn't want to take too much away from the signature MONSTAX sound. So
yeah,
that's probably exactly what you described.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, was that it for MONSTAX?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just if you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, then definitely give the song a listen and check out the video. Both are enjoyable experiences.
Yep. So my second top pick for this week was Moon Hyena's Cricket song. Moon Hyuna is not the Hyuna who we recently saw in San Francisco, but rather the Hyuna from Nine Muses. And her cricket song, it's like one of those, just listening to it was like an ASMR video in terms of, do you know what ASMR is?
I've seen the term and I kind of have a rough idea of what it means, but I don't know exactly what it stands for.
It's kind of like this feeling of having like goosebumps like on your head. You know, it's like this really soothing feeling. And I kind of owe it to a lot of, you know, professional musicians. They may take gripe with this, but she has a really breathy way of singing. And, you know, some people could say, well, that makes it a little less, you know, technically good because she's not belting her voice as much. But just for a listener perspective, it's like, ooh, that's really soothing. And the way she pronounces cricket, or the cricket noises, is like click, click, click. I can't recreate it. But if you guys are looking for something to maybe like listen to on the long drive home or something to go to sleep to, Moon Hyena's Cricket song is great. And she also did a acoustic version of it. And that I think is also really nice, stripped down, presented in a different way, in a way that she also produces another fabulous ASMR video that you can listen to for that acoustic cricket sound. All right, so who is your second topic, Supermatic?
All right, so my second topic, it dropped, I believe, on Friday last week. And at first, upon listening and watching the music video, I was like, it's cool, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. Then I kept on listening to the song, and voila, here it is as my second pick. Shout out to all the K-poopers out there.
K-poopers!
It's BgA with Who's It Gonna Be?
There's only one way to figure out who the leader is.
How?
We make a song with everybody in it, equally, and we just see what happens.
Okay, but what's the song gonna be about?
Exactly what we've been talking about this whole time. Who's it gonna be?
Oh my god, that better not be the name of the song. That is so cheesy.
K first, where you at? BgA. Should we show them? Everybody.
Oh man. If you were a poor victim of my Twitter feed, like I was tweeting everything about BgA because I loved that comeback. I think there's probably some clash or tension in the K-pop fan community in terms of those who view it as a more legitimate K-pop group, and perhaps some that don't.
They view it kind of more like mostly parody.
Well, don't get me wrong, it's definitely parody, right? Like you'd ask any of the members of BgA and they would say that it's parody, but I think what's just kind of fun about BgA as a whole is that we're using a K-pop lens to analyze them.
Yeah.
And listen to them. We got fair line distribution.
Yeah, they did.
This time. So it wasn't just Niga Higa the whole time. Or Niga Higa.
Yeah. One thing I do have to shout out the guys of BgA for, and like even going back to their first debut hit, which was Dong Sayade, if for those not in the know. For those who didn't already speak Korean and didn't even really know a lick of Korean, credits to them for learning the language and learning the words so they could actually sing for the vocals on the songs.
Seriously, yeah.
Because Dong Sayade was a great debut, even though, again, BgA is a parody group, but that was a great debut. And I feel like Who's It Gonna Be was a good follow-up for them.
Yeah, we've seen Koreans react to BgA, right? And the way they react to it, it's like, okay, this is something. BgA isn't a group for the Korean audience.
Yeah.
BgA, I think, is really for the Asian American experience and the Asian American, or just the American K-pop fan experience. I shouldn't, not necessarily Asian, just American K-pop fan experience. And it's sort of satirizing, you know, the sort of trends and movements that we see within it.
Yeah.
What I love about the video is that they follow all the tropes that
they
one
do.
would get in like a K-drama or in a K-pop thing, and they have fan service.
Yep.
Pro tip, guys, if you're going to rewatch the BgA music video, turn on the subtitles because they've got a lot of hidden jokes
Yeah, they do.
in there.
And it touches a lot too. Like it kind of satirizes the K-pop industry itself. I mean, there's the whole issue of June, who's kind of singled out. Like the other members call him the least popular, and then the talent agency and the manager ends up wanting to sign only him to a solo contract, make him the star. So it touches upon that whole contract issue and like which member of a group breaks out. Like it's a fun watch, especially for those of us K-pop fans who understand or kind of get the whole idea of what it is that they're satirizing. So
yeah,
a lot of fun with that too.
I think BgA just brings healthy laughs and discussion to K-pop.
Absolutely.
And that I gotta applaud.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, that's the whole point of like music and music videos and things like this, and what guys like BgA and the rest of them do. It's meant to be fun and for us as fans to enjoy. So
yeah. All right, well, I think that was it for BgA, unless you had any further comments.
Just if you haven't given it a listen yet, then just check it out. Who's it gonna be?
Yeah, they were number 1 on iTunes.
Yes, they were.
That's a sign for success.
Yep.
Who's gonna break out, leave the rest to bleed?
Okay, so we're going to take a deeper dive now into the song we'd like to spotlight, probably the song that we'll market in this particular episode, but it's none other than Pristin.
With their wee-woo.
Yeah, you know, thus far on the Kpopcast, we've honed our vocabulary for Aegyo.
Yes,
right?
we have.
So we've heard tang tang tang. We've heard byung byung. A number of other different like Aegyo words, right?
Yes.
But Pristin adds new vocabulary. I think now we can add like a few others like wee wee or byung. Like the popping sound. I can't even pronounce how they pop in boo boo.
Yep. And then even just the way that they say certain lines in English, such as the "You're my superhero."
Yeah, I mean, this was pretty heavy Aegyo release.
Yes.
If you haven't already heard yet, the breaking news is Wii U. At least what I thought was so funny is that in the music side scroller, right, like in the CNN like news scroller, it said like, breaking news, Wii U.
I love that, how it's literally nothing but just those two words.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take itself too seriously. Not that an Aegyo group should. What did you think of the music production of the song Supermatic?
Admittedly, it was pretty good to my taste. I mean, there's a nice balance between like things that you would hear that at first they seem irrelevant. I mean, you hear things like police sirens, you've got bass lines that are pretty groovy. And then the interesting effects that they have on some of the vocals, like one thing that you and I both noticed and spotlighted, that telephone effect they had on at the beginning when the member sings like "Annyeong."
Yeah,
like it was interesting. But when I gave the song a few more listens and I paid attention to how those sounds came together,
right,
it was nice.
Yeah, I think maybe some fans who aren't receiving the song very well, they would say, "Oh, they're putting way too much stuff on the vocals." As you discussed, Matt, like, there's a lot of different sounds in this music video that would seemingly contradict or clash with each other. But overall, like, I think it feels like the spectrum between the lower frequencies, the middle frequencies, and the high frequency sounds in a way that kind of fills out that entire spectrum. I think with other K-pop groups like maybe A-Pink or G-Friend, it tends to be all in the middle high frequency to complement the pop light vocals. And it makes it very, vanilla, very light, stripped down. But this, it had a really deeper, groovy bass.
Yeah.
And I just love the way the guitar chords complemented and the harmony filling the more mid-low section. So, yeah, I thought it came together really well. It kind of almost reminded me of Gugudan's what was their last single?
A Girl Like Me?
A Girl Like Me, yes. In terms of
that.
just how they filled it out, filled out that song, they had a really good mix of lows and highs.
Funny you should mention that, because Gugudan and now Pristin, both groups featuring former members of IOI.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Who's that member that's in Pristin's group?
There's two of them, actually. There's Nayeong, who's the leader, and then there's also, well, when she was in IOI, she was known as Pinky, and then later on Jikwang, but now I guess with Pristin, her stage name is Kyeokung, so.
Uh-huh. And what do people know her for?
Pretty much her visuals, her looks. Like, she's
Yeah.
deemed one of the prettiest visuals in K-pop, not just within the group of Pristin, but just in all of K-pop. She's
In
one of
all
the,
of K-pop,
she's one
guys.
of the top visuals.
Yeah, sort of like Aegyo, right? And that seems to be the strong, predominant flavor for the group overall. In the past, we've said Aegyo feels so commodity, but I'm beginning to feel like Aegyo has different flavors,
Oh.
right? I mean, like if you had to say like what flavor of Aegyo Pristin is, what would you characterize it as?
You know, that's actually a tough one now that I think about it. Like, I'm not really sure how I would categorize it, because it's interesting you pose that question, because I feel like when you go back and you think about other Aegyo concepts that we've reviewed, Twice, G-Friend, various other girl groups, we've been able to kind of hone in and strike and identify what their flavor is. But with Pristin, I'm not quite sure yet, especially considering this is their debut track. So,
yeah.
I mean, any ideas?
Well, I think the reason why maybe it might be so hard for you to come up with like, oh, well, what sort of like subgenre of Aegyo this is that, well, they're different girls, right? Very different personalities. And that's what you should do with a debut single or a debut launch, right? Like you've got to show the different personalities of the group. Make it, you know, you have some light uniformity in terms of the theme that they're kind of filling out. I see it as basically being high school cliques or stereotypes for each of the members.
That's right.
I mean, I could be off on that, but that's kind of what I was taking away from it. And that you've got your athlete, you're the person who works out all the time. You have the popular girl, the queen. She even has the words queen on her hat.
She does.
You have the stoic introvert. I mean, you've got the art one, you've got the edgy one, or the emo one.
Yeah.
I mean, name your stereotype for your high school, but that seemed to be what they were each trying to represent in each of the 10 girls for this group, and that's a lot of girls to debut in one group.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked ourselves here on the Kpopcast before, like when it comes to girl groups especially, like not just within a K-pop group, but for girl groups, is like how many members is too little versus how many is too much? Like what exactly is the amount? And I don't know if we've talked about this before specifically, but I know I've talked about this with other K-pop fans, both in real life and online. And a lot of the consensus seems to be that somewhere between 7 to 9 is an okay number. Anything above 9 seems to be pushing it a little.
So do you think they pushed it a little too much with this group?
I mean, I don't know. There are some other groups who may be like at that 10 or more mark. I mean, you look at Cosmic Girls, who recently went from 12 to 13 with the addition of Yeonjung, another former member of IOI.
Yeah.
But they seem to be doing fairly well on their own. So I guess it really just comes down to how the group themselves perform, as well as the production of their songs and what they're given and how well they do with what they're given. So
yeah. I mean, my feeling is that, look, each of these girls are talented. They're each doing a very good job. And quite frankly, I think the label did pretty close to the best they possibly could in terms of spotlighting 10 separate girls in one song. But there were times where I felt like, for example, they're in the school hall, right? With all the lockers and the sirens. And you see the stoic girl in the back, and she continues to stay in the back, and she gets pushed further and further into the back, right? Such that there are too many other girls where she no longer becomes visible.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality that you have to work with. Like, you only have a finite amount of space in a camera frame, and also a finite amount of space in the lyrics in a song.
Yeah.
So it becomes harder and harder. And again, each of these girls, they do great. They are all talented. But if the label had to redo it, I might suggest going with 3 fewer.
So cutting it down from 10 to 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that way I feel like you can play at the personalities of each of these different girls just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to pick any one of those 10, right? That shouldn't be in this group. I'm just saying as a whole, maybe it could be better as a unit with fewer members.
Yeah.
I mean, time will tell. Maybe we'll be wrong about this. right? I
Yeah.
mean, I remember when Girls' Generation came out, I'm like, there's 9 of them.
Yeah. Like 9 was just straight up unheard of back then.
But it worked.
Yep.
All right, well, time will tell. So, again, this is an Aegyo release. Matt, I'd like to make a confession.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to come out of the closet, guys,
Oh.
and say that I think I like Aegyo.
Oh. Whoa.
If
wait,
you
wait,
can-
wait. Peter liking Aegyo?
Yeah. I mean, in the past, my wife, she always makes fun of me, like, gee, Peter, for really hating Aegyo, you watch a lot of Aegyo K-pop music videos. Gives me that skeptical look. And I don't think I realized it, but I think I kind of like it. I don't like all Aegyo. I think I like Aegyo of all the girls in Pristin, except for the one that's going for the too young concept, the one with the pigtails,
Oh.
and the ones who makes the particularly helpless Aegyo. But we saw different flavors of Aegyo throughout this entire thing.
Yeah, we did.
So, I don't know, man. Like, Pristin, like, hats off, Pristin. You've made me realize that I love Aegyo.
Wow.
And I'm probably gonna be watching more
Landmark
of this.
moment here on Kpopcast. Peter Lowe has admitted to liking Aegyo.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny. Like, you know how sometimes like gay guys who might be in the closet are really like super sensitive about their homosexuality. They're like, oh, I'm not gay. I'm like really masculine testosterone, like whatever. And then they sort of like overly compensate for it. Maybe I was doing that with Aegyo.
Ah, okay.
I don't know. All right. Well, what do you think of their outfits, Supermatic? I mean, we have like 3 major sort of like sub concepts,
Yeah.
right, with this group.
Well, I mean, they had 2 different outfits where they were all like kind of uniform together, and then and then of course there were
And those
scenes.
2 uniformed together were the sort of street, or I put in air quotes, street concepts, where they all had the short skirt, a little edgy or something that they wear not to school.
Yeah.
And then they also had,
The school uniforms.
because it's K-pop
Yep.
and this is a debut group,
Mm-hmm.
and then they each had their own very unique concept,
Yeah.
right? So they each had the one where they, I think, really tried to show that stereotype or that clique from high school in each of the girls, and that's where they tried to build out that individual brand for each of the members.
Yeah.
To their credit, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they did a pretty good job there. I mean, the funny thing for me is that as I was watching this MV, I mean, I checked it out for the first time little over the weekend or whenever it was that it dropped.
Yeah.
And then I started watching it more when you and I agreed that this is the one we were going to take a look at. And each time that I was watching it, there would be moments where I forgot that there were 10 girls, but at the same time, it was because I was like, I'm getting different concepts here.
Yeah.
Like, there are times where it's not just all the same.
Yeah. And again, we've said this with other groups, but even in the times when they are supposedly all uniform, right? Like with the school outfit, there are variations on that outfit,
Oh, yeah.
right? So it's not all exactly the same, but it's all, well, they're all wearing the, the school colors, the school plaid, whatever,
Yeah.
but they stylize it, accessorize it in a different way for each member.
On that note, I do have to shout out particularly that with Nayoung, who's the leader of the group, she was the one who portrayed the kind of, I guess, like the nerdy girl, because she was the one with the
Yeah,
glasses who was in
that's
the
right.
bathroom.
Yep.
And I don't know, it was funny for me to see her like that, because I've been following her along with the other members of IOI since Produce 101, because I've watched that show all the way until now, and I followed each of the 11 different girls. And then for Nayoung, who's known, her nickname is Stoneface, and she's known for being more on like the serious side. Like, she seems to not really favor or even like the whole Aegyo cutesy concept, and then yet to see her being very into the character in this one and embracing it. And I was reading the comments too online, and a lot of the comments on the YouTube video particularly, they were like, oh my god, Nayoung with that unexpected Aegyo, that's her charm.
Yeah, but what, to her credit, right? She was able to turn on like a switch. She
Yeah.
was able to go from stoic, intellectual, cold, and to go like
Yeah.
happy. So that was great from her. What do you think of the dance?
The dance is probably my favorite part of like this whole package.
Oh,
because-
really?
Yes, because like I noticed parts of it, of course, throughout the MV, but we're not going to see all of it, obviously, because in the music video they have other parts they got to give us as fans and viewers, like the aesthetically pleasing sets. You got to give those moments where the girls are just acting in their scenes. But
Yeah.
I did check out some of the lives, and then not too long ago they actually uploaded their dance practice version of this song, and watching that dance practice, I was like, wow, this dance is really fun to watch. Like, I can only imagine how much fun it is for the girls to do. But as a viewer, I don't know, it's just, I keep going back to it because me being a dancer myself, of course, like I know how hard it is sometimes to do group formations and like keep things together tightly, but at the same time still executing the movements well.
Sure.
And this dance doesn't seem all that particularly difficult in terms of technicality, but the way the girls move together and the way they do their formations, and especially the moments where they highlight one particular member,
Yes. Yeah.
they have so many different well done moments where 9 of the girls would go down and the one girl stays up, or some kind of variation on that, and you can tell who the one girl is that's being highlighted, and they get their time to shine, and it was just so well done. So credits to whoever it was that choreographed this dance.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting because the first time I saw, the different girls doing their one highlighted section that's, different from the rest of the group, I thought like, oh, did she make a mistake? But then, because it's so dramatically different, like all the other girls, like, I'll bring their arms up for this. And then she does a slightly different move to bring it up because that's her spotlight moment.
Yeah.
And that was, I thought, a pretty nice touch. And not to say that you don't see that in other K-pop groups, but just the way, I don't know, they kind of weaved it in. It's sort of like the platform was the same platform for all the other members, and then it like weaves into something slightly different for the member that is getting that one spotlight for that one moment.
Yeah.
I also like the what is it called where they like wave their leg around and then they do another kick?
Oh, not sure what the move is called, but
Whatever
I know what you're
it
talking
was.
about. Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
It went with the song. I thought it thematically went with the song.
There's great moments. I mean, I know there's one in particular. I believe the member's name is Yuha. I mean, outside of Kyokyung and Nayoung, I'm still trying to familiarize myself with the rest of the
You're
Pristin
doing better
girls.
than I am.
But
yeah.
there's one moment in the choreography, I think somewhere in the middle, maybe during the second verse, where the girls all get together and they do like 3 formations and they all do hair whips. And at the end of the third hair whip, Yuha is like revealed. So I thought that was like pretty cool. So just moments like that where all the other members do something to like reveal or like show the last member doing something different and giving her the time to shine. It's just, for someone who dances as well and can appreciate something like that coming together, just major props.
Yeah. So what do you think of the film composition? Like when I was watching it in terms of like the colors that we see persistently throughout it, I was like, is this another Digipetty like music video? I mean, to their credit, Digipetty's, music video productions credit, like they have a very cool flavor and style that heavily influences other K-pop.
Oh yeah, they do.
And I kind of felt like I was getting the Digipetty vibe here in terms of the film, the color and lighting balance.
I can
in
see
this.
that.
What did you think they were trying to say with the concept in the music video?
That was hard for me to decipher at first because, of course, when I was watching this the first few times, I had the brilliance to forget about that little clever button on YouTube called closed captioning, which I did not turn on. So here I was just watching the music video, trying to enjoy the visuals and trying to decipher the story just from what I was watching alone.
Yeah.
But then when I turned the closed captioning on and I actually saw what the lyrics or the rough translation of the lyrics comes out to, it seems like it's one of your, not necessarily so typical like girl crushing songs, but it seems to be talking about how if you just get this like crushing feeling on a person, or I guess from the girl's perspective, when they develop a crush on a guy like so huge, it just like makes their heart almost want to burst to the point where it's like, oh, call an ambulance, I'm about to faint or something. Like,
does your heart go? Yeah.
Yes, exactly, as the song suggests. I mean, there's moments throughout the song where they shout out like, the Aegyo sounds that you touched on earlier, and then of course the song is called Wee Woo Wee Woo, which is, I guess, was supposed to emulate the siren of an ambulance.
Yes.
So
yeah, and then they also go boop boo.
yeah, that's right.
What do you think that was?
The heartbeat.
Well, that's what I thought first too.
Oh, really?
But and maybe this is just like me taking the English interpretation of the lyrics, right? Because there's probably something we're losing here in the English or English Korean translation of the song. But I kind of took it to mean like my boo.
Oh, good point. Good point.
For you, boop boo. And like,
That's right,
it's like
that's
you're
right.
poking your crush going boop boo.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I took that sound to mean.
Good point.
Yeah, I think overall it's this alarming
There you go. That's the
feeling
word.
of crushing on someone and secretly praying that he or she will notice you senpai.
That's right. That's right.
So it's that's why they have that section in the bridge, right, where they have each of the girls with their mystical objects, right?
Yeah.
To sort of be like, okay, have you ever seen like Hey Arnold growing up?
Yes.
90s kid here.
Helga, right?
Yes.
Like, move it, football head. But then secretly, when she goes to her room at night, she's got this whole Arnold shrine.
Yeah, so she's crushing on her crush, right? And like, you know, she wishes like, oh, I wish, you know, you would feel the same way with me, or that you would also line up with all these other boys who are, you know, waiting for my affection.
Exactly.
If you read the lyrics of the
Yeah.
song. So, man, Helga, the original tsundere.
Right?
By the way, tsundere is this Japanese phrase for like those who pretend to be like not interested at first, but are really actually interested in the other person. I will say, like, if your crush makes your heart go wee or cause these feelings of explosions, you should go to an emergency room. Because that is not how the human heart is supposed to sound or feel. You know, we see a few of those other feelings of like what it is to be like a crush with someone, right? Like we see the was it the girl who says like Alice in Wonderland on her apron?
Oh, yeah.
Right. It's this feeling like, oh, I'm going to take this leap of faith to acknowledge that this is how I actually really feel about this person. It kind of reminds me of Red Velvet's Rookie, Looky, Nookie. And that song was also a very similar sort of like announcement or realization that you feel like you actually have these feelings of crushing or lusting or liking someone. That's what I sort of took away from Red Velvet's Looky. Overall, Matt, would you say that this is a good way to debut a group, as Pristin did?
Well, it definitely wasn't bad. I mean, I can see what they were aiming for, and it seems like so far they are doing a good job. I can't really think of anything that really stands out for me in terms of what I would change.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is a pretty solid debut so far. I mean, the song's definitely enjoyable for what it is, and again, as we've touched on, the way that they gave each of the 10 girls, and again, as you said, 10 girls is a lot of girls, but the way that each of them got their moments to shine, and they have that opportunity to carve themselves out. So for the fans out there, if you're trying to find a member that you want to latch onto as your favorite, then there's definitely opportunities where each of the 10 girls makes their case for that. So good job with that. And again, especially for me, like this is probably just my dancer bias speaking, but the dance itself and the choreography and the way that it looks visually when you watch it, it's just overall, it's a really, really good package. So I'd say this was a good debut.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like they aren't getting this is such a typical like fan response, but it's like they're not getting the attention they deserve. Like, come on, more people need to like watch this and pay attention to it. So I don't know. I think they are hyped appropriately, quite honestly, coming out as a debut group. I think they are just a little shy of the Twice level of debut. And Twice, as we've said before, do a very good job in creating that brand for each individual member.
Yeah, that's right.
And they definitely made that effort, right, with Pristin, but not to the same production level or brand or unique identity that you had with Twice.
Yeah.
So I think that's where they kind of fell short. And how would they do that? I don't know, man. Just throw more money at it. Like that's a really tall order. Not everyone has the resources to do that.
Yeah.
And especially with Pledis and with After School kind of sort of maybe out of the picture now. We'll see. But that's where I felt like it was just a little short, and the concept overall I felt like was just a little convoluted. Just a little.
Yeah, I could see where you're coming from. I'm inclined to agree with that because, again, I mean, as you said, it especially for my point of view too, is like how we've talked about it so many times before with Aegyo being as commoditized as it is in K-pop, and especially when it comes to girl groups that are debuting, it seems like that's the go-to concept, and it does work pretty much most of the time. So I don't blame Pledis for going with this with Pristin Girls.
Yeah,
but to Pledis's credit, they could have rested on their laurels a bit with the fact that they had Nayoung and Kyokung in the group, because those two alone with their fan bases carrying over from Produce 101 and IOI, you could have just rested on the laurels of that and written that, but
you think
instead, I feel like, because Nayoung and Kyokung were pretty popular, especially like within the 11 members of IOI.
Do you think that that's the reason why it's getting the view count that it is right now, at least among the international fans?
Well, I mean, that could be part of it, but the other thing too is I believe Pledis is also the label that 17 is on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
so, and I do remember seeing a lot of the 17 fan base all rallying together, being like, well, we have our boy group now here in 17, let's support their sister group and let's help these girls be successful. So it's pretty nice to see those fans trying to do the same thing for their favorite group's label mates. So that could also be helping.
Yeah.
And again, what I was going to say is that to Pledis' credit, good job to them to making sure that they didn't just focus solely on Nayoung and Kyokung. They made sure that they highlighted all 10 girls equally. So
Yeah.
good job for that.
Otherwise, we'd have another Hyuna in our backup dancers
Yep,
group.
exactly.
So, no hating on Hyuna. I love Hyuna.
Mm-hmm.
She probably deserved all that attention that she got from Out of 4 Minute. But that's how you avoid that sort of dilemma.
Exactly.
For the audio.
Mm-hmm.
How would you rate it? First time listeners, first time watchers, whatever. 1 is the lowest on a scale, 5 being the highest.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just looking at the song alone.
So audio-wise, for me, I mean, it's definitely an enjoyable song. It grew on me the more and more I listened to it. And the funny thing is that you mentioned earlier how most listeners would feel like it's too busy. There's too much going on.
Or maybe too many effects on the voices and whatnot.
But then the more I listened to it and the more I took kind of more of a what little musical production perspective I could to it, I appreciated what they did and what they were going for and how the sounds blended together. And plus, like, the different parts of the songs vocally that just stay stuck in your head. I mean, I'm a sucker for catchy songs, as has been long established here on the Kpopcast.
Yeah.
You know, just those different moments of like, oh, you're my superhero. And then like...
Is this a song for Noribong?
It could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily like one of the best songs ever. I mean, I am cutting them a little bit slack because it's a debut song, and especially these days with how popular and huge K-pop has become, it's hard to have a really, really great debut.
Yeah.
This one was really solid, I felt like, and especially with the way that Pledis marketed it. Just audio alone, I gave this a solid 3.5 because it's an enjoyable song. It's catchy enough where I will enjoy it, but I don't know if it'll be an immediate go-to for me if I'm going to pull up K-pop songs to listen to.
Oh. It is that immediate go-to song for K-pop songs for me. So I gave it a 3.9, and I like it a lot. Not quite that 4, but it's still pretty good. I'm trying to remember whatever score I gave Gugudan, but I feel like it's just at the same level. And not that Gugudan and Pristin are doing the same thing, not that they compete completely, but I kind of feel the same way in terms of how much I like each for both these songs. And Pristin, again, maybe if it's the one thing that I really like, it's that groovy bass. And it is the effects on their voices, the and the Aegyo sounds they make. And this is coming from a guy who allegedly hates Aegyo. So,
right.
They delivered. It's a song that I have been playing embarrassingly loud in my car when I drive down 101, and then people are like, "What is that guy listening to?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing." So
that's when you flip the radio to something like top 40 or hip hop.
Oh yeah, KML hip hop.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think of the concept, Supermatic? The concept, if you want to break it down for our first-time listeners.
Yeah, so again, we use the 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. And concept is where we take into account the music video and everything within that video in terms of the visuals, how aesthetically pleasing it is, the styling, which refers to the outfits and the way the members look, as well as what the story was, what they were going for. And again, like when it comes to groups, like each concept or idea or role and character that each member is given.
Yeah.
So looking at that, I guess I'll go ahead and dive into it first. So the concept for me, again, as we touched upon earlier, even though it's not entirely in that same whole or that same like handful of what it is for the go-to Aegyo schoolgirl concept, because again, they did a good job of.
You raised an interesting question. Is there a standard for the go-to
Or maybe
Aegyo
there is.
schoolgirl concept?
Yeah. But it falls in line with that, but at the same time too, I feel like they did a good enough job of defining each of the 10 girls' roles.
Uh-huh.
And the way that the music video just seems like a lot of fun, and of course the dance too. So I'll admit that watching the dance practice helped bump up the concept score for me a little bit, because this is a fun dance to watch when you see these girls perform the song on stage. I gave the concept overall really solid 3.75.
Okay. I give this just a tiny bit higher for me. It's also a 3.9. It's really good, guys.
3.9 and 3.9.
I mean, it's just shy of being like, borderline best of the year category for me. Maybe this is my breakout moment, and that's how I'm going to remember this song, for confessing that I love Aegyo. I just love how goofy and funny it is, how each girl is given a very unique concept, at least for Aegyo, as far as Aegyo goes. And they did a great job balancing the 10 girls. I am always going to end videos with that same open mouth smile.
Yeah. Like what they did.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially with Kyeokung at the end.
Overall, is it
Daebak or not?
What do you think, Supermatic?
It's Daebak. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I may not exactly be speaking super highly of them, but again, they did a really good job, and I'm enjoying this song and concept so far. Solid debut, so definitely Daebak.
Yeah, and Daebak for me. Okay, so any lessons learned from this debut that other K-pop debut groups should learn from this?
Well, I mean, one, you already touched upon it with that open mouth smile, and then two, as well, what you referenced earlier, if you find yourself crushing so hard on someone that you find your heart about to explode out of your chest, go to the emergency room.
Yeah, I guess I just want to impress underscore again. Give each girl their brand.
Oh yeah,
in your
definitely.
debut group. What is Boo Boo Burgers?
Oh, I don't know.
If you guys know, let us know. I'm really curious what Boo Boo Burgers are. Is that a symbol for something? For your boo? I don't know. Okay, well that's it for this episode of the Kpopcast. I'm again DJ Pirlo. Where can people find us? Supermatic.
Well, you can definitely find us online on Twitter, especially with our hashtag, which is the Kpopcast, Kpopcast. And then for my social media handles, you can find me on Twitter as well. I'm at Supermatic, which is SOUPERMATIC. And if you're interested enough to check out my dance videos, same thing for the YouTube channel.
You're uploading dance videos?
Yes.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. And I am DJ Pirlo. I don't have dance videos, but actually I have some really old ballroom dance videos, but let's not promote those. So I'm at DJ Pirlo.
Yes.
DJ PTERLO. And I guess I have some videos of K-pop or DJ sets, so maybe I'll put those up.
Yeah.
But we have a YouTube also where I'm probably going to be
right.
putting this video up as an experiment. We'll see. We'll probably get some hate for this production value thing. Okay, well I think that's it.